Mitch McConnell has demonstrated when it comes to jamming Supreme Court justices through the Congress, he can move with great alacrity when he wants to. And if he chooses not to, if he chooses to delay, or if some of those that were supporting this challenge to the electors, this baseless challenge, object to moving forward, then it's on them what this president may do between now and Inauguration Day. But I don't want that on my conscience.
Joining us now, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California. He was a manager of the 2020 impeachment of Donald Trump and is again advocating for his impeachment and removal from office. Congressman Schiff was on the floor of the House when the mob tried to gain access last week. In light of what happened, what is the significance of this impeachment vote?
Well, first of all, I don't hear anyone saying what Donald Trump did was not impeachable, that somehow this conduct is compatible with holding office. And I also don't hear many people saying that they think it's safe to leave him there. This is the remedy that Congress has. Now, it's not ideal. It's not as swift as I would like it to be. The best thing for the country would be for him to resign, or for the vice president to find a backbone and invoke the 25th Amendment. But neither of those things seem likely. So we'll do what we have to do to try to protect the country. And the significance is the founders understood there could be exigencies at any time during a presidency, including during the last 2 weeks. And the mechanism they provided is nimble enough to be used in this kind of an emergency.
Congressman, we talked to your colleague Hakeem Jeffries just a few minutes ago on this show, and he said he's confident that the votes are there at this point to impeach President Trump, perhaps as early as tomorrow. Do you agree with him?
I do. I don't think there's any question about that. The only question at this point is how many Republicans will support the impeachment and how many will continue to make excuses and equivocate and, as they did a year ago, come up with the rationalizations for why they won't do their duty.
Yeah, it's beyond rich to hear some Republicans now saying it's a time for unity and healing and not for impeachment. What do you view as the possibility here? Because one of the objectives we've heard from Democrats is to prevent Donald Trump from running for office again, from serving again as president, from serving in any federal position. Do you see that as likely? It gets through the House. A lot of people have said it's probably not going to clear the Senate with a conviction, because you do need all those Republicans to get on board to get a 2/3 majority. And then it would go to a majority vote on the question of whether or not the president could serve again. How important is it to you that Donald Trump not serve again in this country?
Well, it's very important, but my priority right now is taking whatever action we can to remove the current threat, the clear and present threat we face every day he's in office. And so I think that's where our attention has to be focused. But if you look to the future and you ask, just as we did indeed a year ago in some of those clips that you were playing from the last trial, can we be confident of history not repeating itself with Donald Trump? Can we be confident that 4 years from now, he won't be back lying about another election, claiming another election is about to be rigged or is rigged, and mounting another insurrection against the results of another election? And the long and the short of it is, of course, we cannot be confident of that, because this man's lack of character is not going to change. His basic immorality is not going to change. And so, yes, that does concern me. But my top priority right now is doing whatever we can do in our power in the House. And we have to hope that the Senate will do its job to protect the country from the threat that exists today.
So, Congressman, in protecting against the threats that exist today, there obviously is concern about safety inside the Capitol. I want to ask you what you've learned so far over the past week about what happened with the Capitol Hill police. A lot of fingers being pointed, a lot of people saying they warned the Capitol Hill police. The retired Capitol Hill police chief said that he didn't get the support that he needed from Senate leadership. Others are saying, the NYPD even saying, they warned the Capitol Hill police of the coming riots and insurrection. What can you tell us?
Well, I wish I could give you a clear picture, but it is muddy for us in Congress as well. Most of us are mystified by why the Capitol Police were so outnumbered, why this wasn't anticipated. It didn't really require, I think, extensive intelligence to see the potential for danger here, given that the president was doing this rally. So we're mystified by it. We're still trying to resolve the situation with the National Guard and why they weren't brought in.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.